Hello again. Now, the University of the Western Cape has suspended a student for allegedly stabbing a Cape Peninsula University of Technology student. In a video circulating on social media, the 26-year-old victim can be seen lying in a pool of blood in front of a CPUT residence. The 30-year-old suspect is said to be her partner. Is enough being done to protect women and children in the country? And this incident is happening just 2 weeks before the start of the annual 16 days of activism against GBV. I'm joined now in studio by Tendani Mlaudzi from Women for Change. Tendani, good afternoon. Welcome to today and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's tragic that, every other day, headlines in news, we're seeing women killing women, women raping women and attacking, and there's campaigns after campaigns, and it doesn't seem we're having a dent at all against the GBV. As Women for Change, where do you think we are failing to make progress in terms of stemming GBV in our country?
Well, firstly, Dan, I think that it's not taken seriously enough by government. It's not taken seriously enough by institutions. And that's where it starts, Government will often say that it's up to society or up to the citizens to take accountability. But where are the laws? Where's the action from their side? So I think that there needs to be a lot of work done there. But obviously, we can educate, we can have a story every day, we could have news bulletins full of these stories, but essentially nothing is changing.
What about the role of communities? I'm asking this because in this particular case, we understand from the reports from Cape Town that the man who's now been arrested and has been in court was a husband or a partner to the other lady who's a student. There was a relationship going on there. And then you think, but where are the families? How do we play a role as communities, as families, in protecting our women?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, Dan. I think it's down to education again. I think it's down to communities being educated on the scourge of gender-based violence. And I think that once education plays a role, then we can help families support each other.
In talking to other NGOs like yourselves, people say we live in a patriarchal society, and we seem sometimes that we men get stuck sometimes in the traditional roles, and that leadership, especially in rural South Africa, traditional leaders have to play a more positive role in protecting women. Would you agree with that?
I would definitely agree with that. I think because, communities look to these leaders, they are watching them, they are seeing how they behave towards women. So I think that's a great start, definitely.
Yeah. What about our boys? When I think about it, if you've grown up with violence around you, and as a boy you see an uncle or a father or a granddad or another guy, treating women violently, you think it's normal. And violence has become like normalized. We talk about GBV all the time, and I'm just disappointed as a South African, as a man, to say it's happening all the time. It's becoming like normalized. Shouldn't we start early on in terms of educating the boys on how to become real men, and those are men who don't attack or abuse their women?
Of course, and I think that you see it in schools actually nowadays. You've seen it for ages where boys treat girls very badly because that's what they've seen. Then we also have incidents of GBV or rape happening in boarding schools, for example, or school environments. So it's definitely not because they were born like that, or because this is not an inherent behavior. It's something that they have learned and that they have seen. So it's very important that we start at these young ages, for sure. And I think that the best way to do that is for them to have positive role models in their life who they could look up to and who they can follow.
So as Women for Change, would you advocate that the battle against GBV involves as much women, protecting them, giving them safety, as much as educating us guys to make sure that it doesn't continue to happen?
Definitely, yeah. Women need safety, women need protection. crazy that a woman can't go to university without feeling like she might be raped or murdered any second of any day, you know. Women are scared to turn down the advances of men because they don't know what will happen. And this is on university campuses where we're meant to be safe, where women are meant to be educated so that they have a better chance at life. So there definitely needs to be more to protect these women. Institutions need to take it seriously. Like I said, they have to really start taking action against any perpetrators.
We do have some good laws, I'm told. I'm not a lawyer, but each time we speak about this, legislation is there, but we need more harsher sentences in terms of GBV. If that's the case, what would you like to see different in law? Although legislation by itself is not enough or a solution.
Well, I think, Dan, it really just starts with people believing victims. I know that the legislation is important, but so often victims are not believed by institutions in places of court. So that's a really great beginning, you know, to just give the victim the benefit of the doubt. But in terms of laws, I think that the laws are in place. I just don't think that there's enough being done to hold men accountable. So people are not listening to women when they say that these things are happening to them.
So, you know, a woman would rock up at a police station, but the police will tell them, go back home and sort it out, or call family members, or they don't take it that seriously. They don't give them a listening and record it properly. So that's still a problem today. Yes,
victim blaming is a huge problem. You know, women go to police stations and they're meant to they feel like they are in the wrong, you know, they feel like they have done something wrong to deserve this because of the way they are often treated in places like police stations. So women need to be able to go to the police and say, hey, this is what's happened to me.
Our police need education as well.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I think men, women, policemen,
it's a societal challenge.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so you as Women for Change, I mentioned in my intro that we're just 2 weeks before the start of yet another annual 16 days of activism against GBV, which is a global movement.
Yes.
And South Africa, we've been supporting it for years now. What would you as Women for Change be busy doing besides raising awareness around this issue in the coming weeks?
Well, we will just be, you know, chatting to women, chatting to victims, chatting to anyone who has issues, raising awareness, like you said. But we will always push institutions, we'll always push authorities to do better and to really just take this issue seriously. Are you planning a campaign
around that, pushing institutions, pushing authorities to do better, or is that an ongoing drive?
It's an ongoing drive, yeah. Because campaigns can be put in place, but you know, how often do they actually succeed? How often are we actually heard?
Have you seen more women, have there been more women coming to you as an organization recently looking for help? Have you seen a spike in GBV cases? I mean, those people who knock on Women for Change doors and said, we need help. Are you seeing more of that now? Or have you seen a stable numbers or decline compared to past years?
I think there definitely is an increase. I think that Women for Change, as people are getting to know about the organization as well. So our inbox is filled with women and families who have been victims of GBV or femicide. And I think it's their only port of call for now, or that's what they feel like. And I believe that instead of us being, you know, their refuge, the police, the justice system, institutions should be their refuge. That's the way it should be, but it is not at this moment.
I read different things, and one of them, when I read, I pick up is that we have to do work with impact. That if you're a community organization, what is the impact? You know, you have to be able to measure it and say this is the impact that we are having. And part of having impact is collaboration. Are you as Women for Change finding that it's easier today in the fight against GBV to partner with other similar-minded organizations to assist women? Because this is a big societal problem. Even our president naming it a few years ago, a second pandemic, while we're still under the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yes, of course. You know, the more the merrier, the more the bigger the impact. So we are so open and willing to partner with other organizations with like-minded solutions in mind.
Yeah. Are there any trends besides an increase you are noticing as Women for Change from what you're picking up? Are you seeing, for example, is the GBV more pronounced in certain age groups? for example, young couples or young men and young women, or older, or is it just across the board, similarly depending on a case?
It's just across the board, Dan. I think what we can say for sure is that the statistics around intimate partners being almost the biggest perpetrators in GBV is still true. You know, people close to the victims are usually the people who are committing these crimes. So that's something that has been a trend and will
and that becomes
continue.
a bit difficult to police, doesn't it, Tendani, because it's intimated people, it's in the privacy of the home, there's no policeman present. It becomes a huge challenge for us to deal with.
Yes, and of course there's emotional manipulation, emotional abuse, gaslighting, where the woman or the partner might feel like they are, you know, imagining things because that's the power that the abuser has. So that's the first problem, you know, and then after they realize that they might be being gaslit or whatever it might be, it's even harder to come forward, especially because of appearances as well, I would say. Appearances in marriage and in couples.
Okay, what about the question of enabling women to be economically independent? In some of the cases we hear that most of the women would stay or remain, besides family pressures, in an abusive relationship because they can't be economically independent. What's your view of Women for Change as an organization in enabling women or empowering women to be able to be financially empowered?
Yes, of course, we are all for empowering women to be economically independent. I think it's very important. Like you said, it's a big reason why women stay in situations where they are abused or where something is going on. So if a woman can be independent, if a woman can stand on her own 2 feet without a man, then that's great if the situation is one that needs it to be that.
Okay, where can people find Women for Change and how can they engage with you as an NGO? We know we're in tough economic times and funds can be very hard to come by.
Yeah, so we're on social media, so you can look up Women for Change on Instagram and on Facebook. We also are holding a virtual run to receive donations. So that's
raising funds towards a virtual run.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So anyone can run, anyone can sign up for this run. It can be anywhere in the world.
How do you run virtually?
You just track where you're running. So I think it was a big thing during COVID as well. So essentially what you have to pay a fee and then you do the run and that.
And is that on already?
Yes. Yes,
okay,
it is.
All the best. I hope it goes well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your time. Tendani Mulaudzi from Women for Change talking to us here on ENC at the back of that horrific story that came out of CPUT, and the man in question has been arrested and apparently is also facing a charge of rape. He was due to appear in court on the 4th of December. Separate case completely, and this latest attack on that woman at CPUT happening just 2 weeks before the start of the 16 days of activism against GBV. If you can, do support Women for Change. There are many NGOs out there doing brilliant work in support of upliftment of women. They deserve even far more than what they are currently getting.